Hello, everybody. I have to say, you guys missed a pretty fun pre-show. If you weren't in the pre-show today,
maybe the best
we
one.
went places. We went places today in the pre-show.
Let's do a lightning round for John. John Conafay is here of Integrate. We're going to do a lightning round and see what of these topics you have an opinion on, okay?
Oh, okay.
The Greenland shark. Ever heard of it? Nothing?
Is that the oldest shark in the world, like, ever discovered?
Pretty much.
Nailed it.
Name one
Sweet.
music piracy app. Which one did you use?
Napster, LimeWire.
Napster. You're old. Okay, LimeWire.
Yeah.
All right, LimeWire. Did you ever download LimeWire Pro by using LimeWire?
Absolutely not.
That was the best moment of music piracy. All right. Have you ever heard of the toy Rockenbach? Still old. Lego?
Yeah.
You're there for Lego.
Yeah, of course.
And I guess Ingenuity.
When dirt was invented, but
Ingenuity. We're pouring one out for Ingenuity today.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, did they fully lose contact?
Oh yeah.
No,
no,
they have contact.
Well, they have contact, but they don't have rotors.
But the rotors.
No rotors. Yeah. Pour one out.
You got that picture, Anthony? It's
yeah,
a great
I'm pulling
picture.
it up here.
Pull his picture up.
Yeah.
So that's the shadow.
Oh man.
And we think that there's some parts floating around here on the surface.
They always just leave behind like the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, like desolate. I mean, first of all, it's Mars, so it's going to be desolate and heart-wrenching. But like, what is it? Oppie, I think, that was like singing "Happy Birthday" to itself or "Curiosity" or one of those. And it's like,
saddest.
Come on. Yeah, exactly.
So sad. They're all the end of WALL-E. Like all the scenes are there.
Yeah,
like 2/3 of the way through WALL-E.
Powering down now. I'll see you never. Yeah.
So yeah, we got rolling in the pre-show.
Yeah. So
it's weird.
Yeah. That's what you get for popping in our Discord. You get to have browsing unscripted conversations. We never know where they're going to go. So
literally never. Offnom.com/Discord.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Offnom.com/Discord. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun today. We're talking with John about his company and stuff. Should we hit up some drinks? Oh, you got something right there.
He's got something good.
Maybe John should start then. What do we got there? That looks pretty fancy.
Okay. So I actually stopped drinking like a year and a half ago. I don't know, something really intense happened in my life, like starting a company, and it knocked it out. And so I got
some people go the other
bronies.
direction on that. So that's
good. I know. That was the COVID bifurcation was like I either started drinking more than anybody in the world or just completely cut it out. I was the latter because I was just like, okay, if I'm going to be stuck in a house alone, maybe lighten it up a little bit. But Phony Negroni from across the street, and then we had these little glasses that are the Cascade Mountains in them in the office because. Yeah, we had like a white elephant-ish party. Steven, who's behind me, gave it to Paul, so he brought him into the office.
Wow. Didn't like him enough to keep him at home.
Yeah,
it's not a good sign.
It's kind of like hey, coworker, screw your taste and screw what you think of me. Pretty much.
Yeah. I think you should drink classily, but I think you could drink this much less.
Exactly.
Take this much out of your drink every night.
Mountain range less, maybe.
The second or third largest mountain range in the country. I forget where it's at.
Exactly. Yeah. We're up in Seattle. It's I can see it. Well, I can see the Olympics that way. But yeah.
Lovely. Cool.
What do you got, Jake?
Pretty good.
I am rocking a new beer from my craft brewery around here, Patito. This is very, very Yucatecan. This is the Yucatecan flag on here. So they've made like a patriotic state beer, I guess. I don't know what.
Wow.
It's new. I'm gonna try it.
The olive green with the stripes looks very militaristic, I've got to say. That's you say like it is the state nationalist beer.
Well, if there's one thing Yucatan's good at, it's having police. I think we have like 9 police forces in this state. So yeah, I wouldn't. It's not even that weird to say that.
The most police. Fair. Yeah, all the other beers look like cartels, but yours looks like police.
I freaking love police around here, man. There's just police everywhere. So.
It's that or cruise ships. Those are your 2 options.
There we go. Yeah. Spear guns for those Greenland sharks as well. That was bad. I love
I don't know. So I have a High Lie. I have no idea. There was a 6-pack of High Life that showed up in my fridge, and I do not know how it got there. I really don't. I don't know if someone's trolling me after the Eagles lost to the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't know if my wife needed to skip the checkout line at Whole Foods and went through the alcohol section. I don't really have no idea how it ended up in my fridge.
Some High Life marketing reps broke into your house and knew that.
Maybe we're sponsored. This is our second beer sponsorship. I don't know.
Secret sponsor.
So that's what
Wait,
I got.
what is? I don't even know what High Life is.
High Life, the beer or the sport? What are you concerned about? Do you know about the sport of High Life?
I of course know about the sport of. I have no clue what the sport
of.
Is that like the lacrosse sort of close?
You're about as far from High Life as you can get, so that makes sense.
You're pretty much the other corner. Go to a land of no mountains, South Florida, and want to launder money or sports bet heavily, you would go to a High Life location. I think we played on this show once the ad for Dania High Life. Didn't we play that when Brendan Byrne was on the show one time? Because they always aired these. High Life came up. His wife likes going to High Life and yelling. But yeah, it's something between like, you know the little like things that used to play in the backyard that were like banana shaped
the
catchers.
Big, yeah.
They're like that, but industrial scale. And then they throw this ball at like 180 miles an hour or something at the wall. It's sort of squash-like in that way. It's sort of an amalgamation of a lot of sports plus sports betting and organized crime. I think that's the high level.
You're saying all the right words. You know? I mean, and I said that right after the last word was organized crime. That's great. Spectacular.
Something in that realm. And it's like strictly South Florida. It's a little bit of Central Florida. And you get the ads if you're in the Orlando market, but that's about it. So, yeah. If you land at Miami International Airport, right when you leave, if you're going out like the main place that you're ushered out, if you look off to your right, you should be able to see one of the High Life facilities. So,
nice.
Yeah, that's great. My one regret of living in Florida that I didn't go, but I think I was too young to go. So maybe. How
old were you when you were living in Florida? I'm just going to flip the script now. Let's go into your life story.
17 to 19. So, yeah.
Because of the betting and organized crime.
I don't know. They probably would have been a little sketchy about an Italian guy from New Jersey coming into the High Life arena at age 17, you know? Not the best mix.
Got it. Okay.
I was very tanned because it was Florida, so yeah, it was. Didn't have the beard yet or anything, so that would have been fine. But
I went to Miami for the first time in my life, like through 7 months ago. I know because it was like right before got our term sheet for the seed round, which was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm lying about that. It was horrifically painful. Anyway, but we went to Miami for the first time for this like launchpad event, startup thing, and fell head over heels in love with it. It was during the winter, so it wasn't 110 and just sweaty constantly, which there's a reason I live in Seattle. But fell in love with it, and I know I shouldn't say this out loud, but it was kind of like everything that I expected LA to be.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't.
Let's unpack it. Let's unpack. Yeah.
I like a little bit more colorful, vibrant. Just the beaches were, packed with people that were just having a blast.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Did you rent a Ferrari and drive Ocean Drive as well, or did you not do that?
Well, Maserati, but close.
You got to sit on the hood and just like
on
cruise.
Yeah. On that beefy founder salary that it makes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Miami's wild.
Yeah.
I definitely would live there, 100%.
Yep.
That was high up the list when we were looking at like where my wife was going to do medical residency. That was like, let's go check out Miami Miller. That seems like a great life.
That's cool. A lot of cool investors moving there. Anyway.
I had not like done Miami properly. Like I've gone there, like flown in and then gone on a cruise ship and left. Like I've done things like that before. But in April, I was there. Well, I was getting off of a cruise ship, but the point being is I stayed a little bit longer and like spent a little bit of time there and went into like the city, like away from the tourist stuff and everything. And I don't know if all the neighborhoods like this, but we picked a neighborhood that was just very, very Spanish. Like
oh yeah,
you know, like you go to the store and everyone's talking Spanish and you had to like ask for someone who spoke English, like one of those kind of stores. And it was really trippy for me because I'd like just come from Mexico and I was used to speaking Spanish. So I was like speaking Spanish to everyone and they're like, who's this gringo that's in here? Like, like trying to speak Spanish. And I was like, and they're switching to English. I'm like, no. Like I'm not that, you don't have to do that for me, you know? And it was just like, it was really weirding me out because I was like, this is not what I expected when I came to the United States right now. And it's just nice
pure
to see
cognitive
like
dissonance.
Yeah, just my brain was all twisted around. I didn't know where I was or what was happening, but it was fun. So, and I got a COVID booster there, and the nurse was like,
the highlight of Miami, a COVID booster. That is such a sentence for like 2022 only. Like that had a very short shelf life.
That's how it goes, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God.
What, you've been in Mexico for like 4 years now?
No, about 2.5 now. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really, really awesome.
So, yeah, it's going good.
Love it.
Cool. Well, should we talk about space stuff for once today?
We should probably at some point. Yeah, I mean, this is honestly probably one of the best 12-minute segments we've done on the show. So I don't know why you're cutting it off at this point, but.
Well, I assume that John has more important things to do than talk about COVID boosters and sharks.
Totally,
but,
yeah. Well, what I said to him, Jake, that you right before you got on this streaming setup was that I think we've hung out with John a bunch in proximity and never talked to each other. Like we were at the same party or at the same event and we're like back to back with each other a couple of times, but never and like talked to the same mutual people, but at different moments of the night. And so I do feel like we just have to unpack the John Conafay experience a little bit.
Was it an integrate party specifically, or
I don't think
like
so.
In the past,
it was just random conference stuff. No, like just conference stuff randomly. Yeah.
Yeah, like IAC stands out.
Yeah, I think we were
DC,
on.
right?
We said this last week. I think you might have been on that rooftop bar situation where we awkwardly rode an elevator with Robert Lightfoot, and then hung out with like most of Rocket Lab next to Robert Lightfoot, but we were too embarrassed to talk to him because we just like shit on him and his policies the week before in the show.
Oh God! Oh, dear God! I worked at Office of Chief Financial Officer while Lightfoot was the interim, and
he was just so sleepy. He was so sleepy. That's our thing with him. He was just so tired, like all the time. So. Yeah, we don't have
just
to get
in the elevator specifically, or constantly?
No, always. It was like a running bit on the show.
Elevator specifically.
It was like, dude, he might have had a long day. Come on, you know.
Like
no, it was a bit for like 6 months, and we were like, I think we were calling him Sleepy Lightfoot, and then the first guy that we got in an elevator with at IAC was Robert Lightfoot, and we were like, well, shit, here we are.
Screwed that one up, damn it.
So whatever.
Is this 27? No, 2017 was in Adelaide.
2019. This was
19.
Just pre-COVID. Yeah,
in DC,
It was
and then
the
they
end
had that
of
crazy
unprecedented times.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had that crazy like Meso Creso party afterward, which I remember. I'm trying to think of what Isar party maybe was the rooftop party.
I literally couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, or Hogan Levels. Maybe Hogan Levels. Anyway, cool.
I don't know. Anyway, what's up? What's going on? What are you doing? What are you doing over there?
Yeah. What's happening?
You got the shirt. Show us this sweatshirt.
Napping.
Tell us about Integrate.
Yeah. So this is a little AI generated, but designed by Andrew Sloan himself, of course. A lot of us come from music backgrounds, so all of our merch has to be at least to that bar of like the hardcore punk metal scenes of some type of stylistic impact there. Building software for the world's most ambitious machines. We have strong opinions on how software is currently serving the hardware industry, or software is currently serving the hardware industry, and we've been at it since about June of 2022. I left ABL Space Systems in March, largely because sold out of rockets, frankly, and that was my main job while I was there. I went and started Integrate because I had previously interned at Spire Global when there were like 20 to 40 people. Worked at Astranis. I was employee, sub 10 employees at Astronis, Spaceflight, ABL, and just saw this massive frustration, or had this massive frustration of not actually being able to communicate with customers, vendors, whoever, program offices or anything like this external to the organization, on these very, very granular like taskings and milestones and all that crap, while building hardware. And so left to build integrate, and we've built some software, signed some customers, and it's super easy, smooth sailing. The economy was great last year, no complaints. And it's I sleep 8 to 9 hours a night, no travel. Kind of easy. I don't know what everybody was talking about.
You only drink the negative space of the Cascade Mountains and the rest of the glass.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's been a hell of a ride so far, but we've had some pretty cool successes. Signing the Space Force was huge for us. Firefly's on board. Nanorex is on board, so we got some good names, getting some solid utility out of the app, and just got to keep going.
You've stumbled into a show of space nerds run by two guys who write software most of the time. We're not thinking about space. Yeah. Pardon our software podcast for the next 10 minutes, but I would love to hear about what
I'm here for it.
What were you using previously? What were the pain points? Are there things that you could teach the companies that are out there struggling through this today?
Yeah. What's the first slide in your funding deck that you had to present? What is the point?
First of all, right? We don't say the F word right now. Okay, I'm still recovering. We don't say the F word. The deck's a little dusty right now, but the way I put it to the majority of our customers or investors is, I worked in BD in some launch companies and some satellite companies, and you codify all of the statement of work and deliverables and all of these complex, list of 180 to 800 items that need to be done for this very, very complex machine to go on top of another very complex machine. You put all of that into a PDF, pass it to the technical program managers or mission managers. They would extract all of that into a CSV, upload it to Smartsheet, task people out in Jira while linking it, and then handle all the requirements. And then
stupid Mac OS feature is the worst thing that they've ever shipped.
Does it do
ever.
It? I know, seriously.
No, that's the problem.
Oh, there it is.
That's the stupidest feature in the world. And it's on by default. I can't handle it.
I don't know how to get the balloons. I got the balloons. That's the first time I've ever done it on command.
It's the worst.
I want to get the balloons.
I'm so excited for them to ship me their $3,500 headset next week, and they also produce this software.
Is this the Mac equivalent of Clippy?
This
might be the Mac equivalent of Clippy.
Sorry,
you're having a very serious conversation with somebody.
I know.
And you're like,
I can't handle
that's
it.
good, cool, and then fireworks go off, or that happens.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's all
worst feature. Anyway, so they mutilate this PDF, and then they make it do it in their own system again, and everyone just keeps redoing it.
6 different systems, and you keep regurgitating the exact same broken process with this Franken feature of a conglomeration of software that was never built for hardware. It was either built for everybody in the case of the spreadsheet apps, or for software engineers in the case of Jira and things like this. And so you don't really get any context along with your hardware. And if you want to share any of the details of your programs, you can't, you have to invite people into your systems and then very, very carefully extricate, pull out all of the important stuff for them while not showing them your entire production schedule and all these things. And so as Integrate, you can parse out the most granular, level of detail to external companies. It's multi-tenant, which I figured it was probably time to get enterprise multi-tenant so that we could actually share and collaborate in a real way. So, yeah.
So what about hardware makes it so difficult? Like you said, you have stuff for software, but it's all just project management and change tracking and user stories and stuff like that, right? Like it's still engineering. So like what is different about the hardware that makes the existing solutions? Like why can't I just use Trello to make my rocket engine? Like what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have, and they've had a spectacular time with it. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. But you're actually dealing with physical time and space constraints where something breaks in software. You don't have an 18-month lead time before you can get that item because you're not dependent on this full chain of collaborators from the people digging up the silicon to producing it. Damn it, Sonoma. To then bring all these components together to deliver your piece. And so, if you're funding constrained, trying to build deep tech, and you don't essentially order 18 of these $350,000 items up front, they can be the long pole. So if you order one and it breaks or it's a dud or anything like this, you then have to push your entire time scale out. But the insight into that entire supply chain, the ability to collaborate on, when things are going to get delivered, when they're going into production, when they're being tested and all of that, there's just a lot of complexity across all parts. So you can't just fix a bug in a vacuum with 2 or 3 engineers. It's this massive external world that's fundamentally collaborative across organizations. So we wanted to fix that collaborative across organizations portion of it.
So you're saying that when my rocket engine blows up on the test stand, I can't just git revert and get back on track?
Unfortunately not. Yeah. I mean, time machines would be spectacular, but yeah.
Undo.
Yeah.
Control Z.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're literally working on an undo feature where we can just branch time in the application. And of course I was like, just do that thing that you did while we were, QAing this feature and everything and just put it on a button. And they're like, John, you don't build software. Shut up. Like, well, it was worth a shot, maybe. It's like, we'll see it in 2 weeks.
It is funny how different the worlds are. Like
they are. Yeah.
Software is allowed to be so janky because we have the capability for it to be janky and, like Jake's saying, recover from it in a not horribly time efficient manner. Which is crazy. And then there's the other factor there that like all software is built on a staggeringly complex pile of other software that's older than most of us on this podcast. And then hardware, it's like, I said most. I don't know. I think it's older than all of us, honestly. The ones that I'm thinking of is older than all of us. But it's just like, the software we're running.
It's the hesitation that hurts. Okay.
But it's quite literally true that the software you're running today is like at some point reaching down to a stack that was the first software. Like it's sort of like the sourdough of software. It's in there somewhere. Yeah. And on hardware, it's like the laws of physics plus everything I've built. And so it's more complex because you are in the world of physics, but the stack between you and the root of your universe is less, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And that luckily we will never understand each other, right? Like, well, we both are like, no, my thing's like really the most complex because like,
that's the funniest thing. That is by far the funniest thing that we've learned since we've like expanded outside of the space industry, because we essentially sat down with, and we're having beers with some Google and Apple technical program managers, and we showed them the space product that we built.
You were drinking with the ones that were making this feature. The ones that did the Sonoma reactions.
Exactly. Except they were on the hardware side. We're like, no, they need more thumbs up. If I'm in a Zoom call, it's not enough to just get the thumbs up from the
for my thumbs up.
Need it like in my soul. Yeah, exactly. But we're sitting with them, and they were like, what you just showed us is just like the technical program management software, really exciting, that we've always wanted for hardware. And so we open it up, and what we're learning, back to your point about software and hardware never understanding each other, every single hardware vertical thinks they're the absolute hardest kind you could possibly build, period. It's like, whether it's medical devices because you have to deal with regulations prior to actually building anything, it's space because you can't get the computer, the beautiful computer that you just built back, and you've got to put it on a very explosive machine. Consumer electronics because, well, do you do drop testing on satellites? I didn't think so. And
do you make 8 million of the things that you're making, or not?
Yeah, that exactly. It was
totally. Everyone's the special snowflake in their own story, for sure. Right.
And it's like, it's amazing. And our thesis is that like it's all the same. You're all dealing with the same physical, thermal, and other types of constraints. There's about 10% that's different, and so if we can service all of those, that 90% of the overlap,
then you're doing good.
So.
Yeah, I always had this thing, this phenomenon that I branded awkward cousins. I wrote this article way back when I was writing for a place called A List Apart. This was September 8th, 2014. I was doing a lot of writing this was Web Nerds back in the day. If there's any web nerds out there, you'll dig A List Apart reference. But this was a thesis I had that the web design and development communities and then the native app design and development communities were awkward cousins, where we think we're like super different, we're never going to get along, and then anyone else comes along and they're like, you guys are doing the same shit. Like, you're building the same thing, you do the exact same work. I can't tell the difference between an app and a website. But I do feel like that's even a higher level between software and hardware, where when we go to any normie out there that does any other job in the world and we tell them our problems, they're like, that sounds a lot like what John told me about when he was working at the other place. And but we're going to fight about it forever, that our thing is the snowflake. Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. And
but honestly, that is though the value in the tactic that you're taking is like, my expertise plus the software people behind you's expertise, right? That they know how to build this thing, but I know what I actually need to see from my angle. And they are different enough when you're at that level of expertise and specificity that, there are controls that you need that we would never think of on the software side.
Exactly.
And so that balance of both of those expertise coming together, or building, like, this is kind of my favorite project, honestly, like building a really well-considered application for a specific industry or type of work. You can just do so much there to help people out and actually make improvements in workflows that I just am super nerdy about.
That's what, like, it equally kills me and lights me up when somebody's just like, oh my God, we've had customers put their hands in their face, or their face in their hands, and just be like, how did I ever do this without this software? Like, fundamentally, those light me up. But then when we have a workflow that just that is off-nominal, if you will. It just, like, it causes me physical pain, and I just want to fix it immediately. And then you're dealing with the constraints of, resource allocation and software, and it doesn't feel much different from hardware at all once you get there. And it's, that's a hell of a drug. I'm glad we went, speaking of the fact that you can just fix software, I'm glad we really went into a low stakes vertical like space, where something messes up on the software or our planning of it. What could go wrong, right?
It was just a units conversion issue.
Yeah, exactly. When has that ever crashed something into Mars?
Nothing. No, never happened before.
Was that Mars?
It was Mars. You got it right.
Mars climate orbiter.
Climate impactor.
Climate impactor. Yeah. I think about, like, this is such an interesting topic right now, because, like, we're this whole, like, new space phenomenon that we've been living through for the last 10, 15 years, or whatever time frame you want to put on it. Like, a lot of it has been like that. It's been like taking the good stuff from software development, like what we've learned from the tech, from, where do we learn from eBay and Facebook and all these, like, early tech companies that, like, came out and pioneered Web 2.0, and, like, how can we put that into hardware and do space that way? How can we do Rocket's Agile? And it's like kind of an interesting, because in some ways it just doesn't work at all. Like, if you think about it, the way Agile works, like, I would not want a Rocket developed with Agile. Like, the first one would be shit.
I'm honest. If I'm honest, Jake, though, I barely want software that was developed Agile, to be honest.
I barely want software developed with Agile.
Am I allowed to complain about that too, even though I'm not actually writing the code? That's because I hate it. Anyway.
You can rail on Agile as much as you want on Off-Nominal. Yeah,
it's apparently our podcast policy. I don't know. Yeah. We've outed ourselves.
The whole, we don't deal with time, we deal with complexity. And it was just like, I understand that, but literally everybody else we deal with deals with time. So can I please just get an idea of when? And it's not, and our devs are absolutely spectacular, don't get me wrong, but like this concept to me has been murderous because I've come from hardware organizations where it's like, get this done by this time or we don't ship, literally, and then we don't ship customers and then we don't ship everything, and it's very very hardcore. So getting my head wrapped around this, dealing complexities at a time. I say it like I have.
Well, I've got my cards in front of me here, and I've pulled out a queen, and what that means is that
exactly. And I fully get it.
I'm complex than the last thing you asked me to do.
Yeah, exactly, and that's helped it. But the devs have had to train me so hardcore on how to speak about these things, because it's just like, okay, how long is it going to take to make this pot? It's like, I don't know, probably a day or something, 3 days, and then blindfold me, smash the pot in front of me and be like, okay, now how long is it going to take to fix it? I'm like, oh, I get, you don't have any insight. Got, okay, cool. And they've been our team's been super patient with me as I figure out, why all of these things are so complex, but it's also been a hell of a curve, not gonna lie. Yeah. So that's my small.
It's funny, how sometimes these Agile groups can the devs can just run away with it and take complete control sometimes too. You have to be really careful with that, right? I've been in some environments where it's just like the product owners are like, I need to get this done, and we're just like, nah, and they're like, oh, feedback, and then they leave, right? They're like, you're not actually my manager, and I don't have a manager, so I'm just gonna go and do some fun stuff, and it's gonna be fine. This is a flat organization, actually.
Meanwhile, if any of our devs actually watch this, they're like, shh.
Yeah. We'll go to bat. We'll go to bat for him. Yeah. Exactly. Take your AirPods out for a second.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can we talk about your brand as well? I was just mentioning that I would like to bring this up. I was chatting. So I run a weird little agency-like organization called Pineworks with a couple others, and we were chatting this week, and about this particular topic, and I recorded a little thing that I need to post, which is me running through roughly, I think, 30 websites from space companies, and they're all the same exact website, the literal same website. And to bring this one more time back to my Illistapart related callouts, I used to work at an agency related to Illistapart called HappyCog. I worked there with a designer named Jason Santamaria, who had this theorem whenever we were working on a website that you should be able to hide the logo everywhere and still know what brand you were interacting with. That was his gate for, was this a good and successful design yet? The entire space industry fails this. Every single website, I'll just pull up one as an example because it was probably the root, but you can tell me. The SpaceX website is probably where everyone went. I'll just roll through a couple other ones, let's just go through launch companies. ULA Launch, same exact website. Let's do Firefly. It's the same exact website. Eventually, once these load, it's the same website. They're all the same website. Literally the same website every time. It is a headline, a full screen image, a call to action every time. I'm not kidding. Name a space company. Who didn't I pull up yet?
Do Spaceflight.
Spaceflight. What are they? Spaceflight.com? It's going to pull up Spaceflight now. Spaceflight.
Yeah.
I wrote Spaceflight. That's not the thing. Spaceflight.com? Loaded Firefly.com. What's going on with my internet? Why does it do that?
They were bought by Firefly.
Spaceflight.com.
Spaceflight was bought by Firefly.
Now I have to Google Spaceflight.com. What happens? Why is my internet doing this?
Firefly.com/spaceflight.
Hello?
Spaceflight.com. We can hear you still. Yeah. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Spaceflight was bought by Firefly.
Oh, they were! I totally forgot about this.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, name another space company. Planet.
Exo launch.
Planet, there you go.
Yeah.
Planet,
Oh, a little different. A little
That's so
different.
funny.
That had a thing. Exo launch.
They
Good
got
one.
some nice cards there.
Let's see. Yeah. Same website. This one's center aligned. Center aligned now.
Yeah.
So,
I dig the center
but it's literally always this website. It's the same website across everywhere. Yeah. And you have a lovable brand that has nice colors and very, I'm resonating with this. It's modern, it's fresh.
We've got an incredible amount of shit for this. We've got an unbelievable amount of shit like that. Yeah. Because everybody's just like, you are a B2B enterprise company. Act like one. And I'm just like,
be boring. B2B stands for be boring. Be too boring.
Exactly. And it was like, and we've gotten that from not really customers, some customers, but a lot of customers have come through and just been like, oh my God. A lot of customers have come through and it's been like, oh my God, this is like a point of joy in my day every day that I get to go to this. And that's amazing. That's what we're going for. We built the app to be enjoyable as opposed to just like dying inside as you're using it and everything.
Soul sucking Jira, yeah.
Like that light blue, white, and gray being a color scheme for literally everything. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's been wildly polarizing. We've gotten so much shit about it, and I'm like, we're also a seed stage company. When, if not now, are we ever going to have the opportunity to like be really, really loud about who we are, the brand we're building, and all that? And then to your point about every space company looking the same, our VP of product and co-founder is Andrew Sloan. Have you ever heard of him? Yeah, he's Cosma Schema, and he literally made a logo generator for space companies.
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah.
It was always the swoosh, right? It was like the arc to space. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, or like a star and like Argos Core Labs or like Art Star Fire Runner or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, it's just like this random aerospace logo generator. So it's hilarious that you say that because so right. His entire shtick when he was doing Cosmic Schema was that everything looks the same and we need to change that. So yeah, I've been a huge fan of his work for a long time. So super stoked to actually found the company.
That is so funny, man. That's really
Yeah.
I pulled up their website again. It's just it's like enough with the blue swooshes.
There, exactly that part.
Blue rocket swooshes.
So good. Yeah. Let me see. I want to see if I can link to the logo generator.
That's too funny.
I love how he actually has the logos in the background.
Yeah, right?
All the little Boeings and SpaceXs and stuff.
Yeah. Planetary Society is in there. I see Planetary Society.
Yeah.
God help me if I can figure out what this other X is. What is this? More swooshy X? Yeah.
More swooshy.
The more swooshy. This one right here in the middle.
X-Core?
Oh, maybe X-Core.
Is that the Atlas swoosh right next to it on the left?
This one is the no.
Or the Lucky
Man.
Man, what is that? What is this one with the X and the space plane? That's X-Core.
That might be X-Core.
What is this one then?
What is that?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna message him.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably got.
Yeah. And so this one's the Planetary Society that looks like a P in the top left. But then what's this other one?
Yeah.
That's X Prize, the middle one there.
X Prize. Yeah, that makes sense.
Dang.
Proving our point once again that
we do have a bit of a swoosh in our logo. This is our old logo, but we do have a bit of a swoosh in our logo. It's like the little.
It's not really.
Bloop. Yeah.
I'm not awarding you any points for a swoosh on that one.
Good.
Yeah.
Really good. Thanks.
If that's a swoosh, then
then
if
you're
that's
really
a swoosh,
up.
you're not making orbit like the rest of these logos. That's the key.
We'll just. Yeah, man. I can't. We'll just fling ourselves to space. How about that? But yeah.
If you go in a circle fast enough and then let go, I hear you can get to space too. So.
Yeah, I hope that. Yep.
God, I wonder what their website is.
Wow.
Are they? I haven't heard anything from them in a long time.
I mean, you could look them up, but it's the same freaking website.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just John. This is their website. It's the same one. This is just a full video, and it's a headline every once in a while.
I gotta say, I do want to see that facility at some point. The fact that they actually built it is one of the coolest things in the world. Like that's a That's a hell of a facility. The fact that it was only like 1/10 scale kind of raised a lot of questions for me, or whatever it was.
And then it flung
like
out at a completely wild angle, like it went somewhere, but
it it worked to some degree. So cool.
Yeah, it's hard.
Anyway, Agile Aerospace.
You can't just change the environment variable to ×10 and then republish that.
But if you could think of an environment where 1/10 scale with no atmosphere would work, then hypothetically this is a really good moon system.
It's a great moon system.
True. Not gonna hate on it for that.
A lot of. Yeah. I am genuinely excited for the moon infrastructure companies, and that they're getting funded, and that's actually happening. It's wild to me, absolutely wild to me. I'm more of I do Leo, maybe go look at the moon and be like, cool, I love Amazon Prime and Netflix and all this. So I like to go back to my internet and Audible and walks in air. But I'm still very, very excited for everybody else's lunar infrastructure. No, genuinely no sarcasm here. I'm glad that we settled on the moon. Not settled
Not
on
yet.
the moon, but
settled
on, decided on the moon as our path to Mars, because I feel like that
for now.
Yeah, well,
that's actually funny. Do you think we'll ever tack back the other way, Jake? Do you think we're gonna
Of course we will.
Yeah,
of course we will.
Cool.
I think we finally found a middle ground that everybody's okay, moon then Mars. Yeah, okay, cool. Because what was it? 20 years of constellation program, then Mars, then the moon, and now it's moon, but also on our way to Mars.
Apollo was moon to Mars. I'm just saying,
man, I just
with a little stop at Venus. Don't completely throw the Apollo applications out in the wild here.
Wait, what?
There was literally a plan to put an Apollo capsule on the surface of Mars. That's how much.
But you had to fly by Venus first, right? Wasn't there the Venus flyby?
That was a different thing. That was just a possible
just
way to trial the software or the software.
The software.
Trial the hardware.
They barely had software then, Jake. All the software was hardware at that point.
Yeah.
So you're literally talking about the software that everything else was built on.
That's it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. That was the sourdough starter of all the software. It's 100% true. Yeah.
That's so funny.
There's definitely an opportunity in there to call that orbital maneuver the Venus flytrap. There has to be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Andy Weir wrote a Venus book, that would be in there. It would be the who is the Donald Glover character? Richard Perlman.
Oh God, I haven't read it or watched it in so long.
Richard.
I think Perlman. I want to say Ron Perlman.
Not Perlman. That's the guy who funds a lot of stuff in Philadelphia.
That I love. Yeah. Wait, what?
Perlman, somebody Perlman funds all the arts and medical stuff in Philly. So it's not that. Richard who? Who is it? Chat.
Richard Purnell. Rich Purnell.
Purnell.
Oh, wait, Rich Purnell? There was a dude that worked at Nanorex named Rich Purnell. That's funny. Anyway, sorry.
This is like how if you're up on the latest version or the latest season of For All Mankind, the asteroid spacecraft was a ripoff of. I saw that. Who was it? Deep Space.
Deep Space.
CSI.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think. So. Yeah, I saw some tweet about somebody being frustrated with that.
I think it was Grant. Yeah,
it was definitely Grant.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can you tell us any stories from places you've been in the past?
Absolutely not.
Okay, great. This is good content.
No, I'm just sure. No,
well, you said you sold all the rockets at ABL.
No, I didn't hear about all the rockets.
Well, in collective, you sold all the rockets, and I'm what's going on over there?
The founder sold 58 rockets to Lockheed, so I was like, well, my job's done
that's most of the rockets. That'll do it.
That's a lot of rockets. And so, no.
List of companies who launched 58 or more rockets. Not that long.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I think it's Soyuz,
maybe 2,
and SpaceX, maybe, Soyuz. And ULA. freaking snow. I swear to God.
I think technically Boeing and Lockheed have both done it.
Well,
With ULA, yeah, technically that's.
Are you trying to make a sale or something, Jake? What's going on here?
Who's gonna buy? Yeah, exactly. Who's gonna buy?
ULA has a 100% success rate. I don't know if you've heard that, Ed.
Except for that one time, if you consider it,
Why don't they mention that? Yeah. I've never heard them mention it once in any of their copy. Huh. Interesting.
Who is going to buy it? Where are we at on that storyline?
I think it sort of has to be Blue Origin, but then I think there's some type of monopoly play here because if NSSL, National Security Space Launch Phase 3, opened up for 3 heavy launch providers.
Mm-hmm. One of them shaped like a large 7-meter rocket.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, are we including Arianespace in this, or what? Like, what's the potential here? Because I don't know where the competition is, but yeah,
that would be a wild version of this story. That would probably be the craziest of the storylines. Yeah, I mean, you're the one sitting in Seattle, so I'm basically trusting you at this point.
See him from my backyard, yeah. But I don't know. It makes a lot of sense.
I guess the one with me though is the then what? Like,
I mean, orbital capability. I still have this long. I was dead wrong in 2023 when I was like, this is the year that we're going to see consolidation of rocket launchers or small launchers, because I thought having a heavy, a medium, and a small class makes a lot of sense to me. They're each have their different purposes and all this. So New Glenn right next to a Vulcan. I could see a lot of capability for national security, for civil space, for some commercial space, but I guess they get rid of an entire business line because who else is going to buy BE4s necessarily? So
this is what that's what never made sense to me with the Blue Origin purchase. It's just like what do they get out of it? They already have the sale. Like they're already getting a ton of the DoD money through the BE4s. Like
but
you don't need the rocket. You have your own that you're developing, and like.
But then like operations. Sure.
Launch
operations,
sites.
Launch sites is huge.
If they buy it, like it's really just like you're just pillaging it for parts. Like you're getting the launch sites, the ops team, and like Centaur IP, I guess. Like
Tory Bruno could straight up be an acquihire.
Maybe. I don't know.
More mustaches at Blue Origin.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
I think it's gonna be something boring. It's gonna be like one of the.
There are only 3, right? It's like Cerberus. I think it's Cerberus.
That's
Blue
like
Origin.
the PE firm, right?
Yeah. Who did
Johnson and Richards equity firm based out of
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's either the PE angle or like one of the other military industrial complex primes that aren't really space launch focused yet, but are huge. I feel
like if it was a PE, like if it was a PE play, it would have happened by now to a certain extent.
Because it would be so fast, or
I don't know. I have zero basis for this theory whatsoever. I just have a feeling that like if a PE firm saw enough value in buying it from Boeing and Lockheed that it would have happened like 5 years ago or something when they were, right before there was the opportunity for SpaceX to overtake the launch.
And money was flowing. There was like a lot of money then.
Yeah,
there's a name in Bradley in the chat. Says Textron, Cessna Vulcan.
Oh, is that the third one?
Cessna. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't. Right. Not saying I haven't heard that name before, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. The other fun one. We left out one thing from our pre-show bit, and I feel like we should lay it out here so that we can reference this in a year. Right. We were debating who might be the NASA administrator after the next election.
Oh.
And I've stumbled upon my Republican candidate. No, I was like, listen, if the Republicans win, it's going to be someone we've heard of but haven't heard of in a while. So I'm floating John Culberson as the NASA administrator if the Republicans win. And Europa is back on the menu. He's Googling very quickly.
Rapidly Googling that whatsoever.
He was the representative from Texas who was super pushing the Europa Clipper mission. He was like, Mr. Europa Clipper was like, strangely from Texas funneling money to JPL to fund the Europa Clipper.
The
got voted out because all he cared about was Europa Clipper.
Pretty much, yeah. Europa First wasn't a big movement in Texas at the time.
yeah, he was not winning over the San Antonio suburbs with Europa Clipper landing.
The Rio Grande Valley was not pumped about Europa. They were like, "No, we're out."
I guess he was a congressperson, right? So what was his district? Was he in Houston or?
I don't even remember where the hell he was. I think it was some part of Houston. But I'm just saying, this has got a similar Bridenstine shape, where it's a weird representative Congress who no one really cared about at the time, who did some weird space stuff that wasn't parochial. That was the crazy part, right? Is that like there was nothing in Oklahoma to care about in space, and Bridenstine was doing all this like weird space legislation. Culberson's off doing lobbyist stuff. He cared a lot about this weird mission that had nothing to do with Texas. He didn't make a lot of enemies.
Taking meetings at JPL, like he was like flying out to California to like
Jake, name a better person to put in charge of whatever the hell's going on with the Mars sample return at the moment. You know,
Tory Bruno.
After he's ousted when Blue Origin buys ULA, we've really constructed a universe here. The cinematic universe is pretty strong. This is weird fanfic. For all mankind, hit us up. You know, if you need any script material for season 5, like.
Alternate timelines all day. I feel like we've lived through 5 in the past 5 years anyway, so that's probably ripe for ideation in that respect.
Yeah, you've been on like all the angles too. You've been on satellite companies, at launch companies, and then
stories.
Like what
stories?
I mean, what do you like better, working at a satellite company or working at a rocket company?
Satellite company.
Spicy.
I love launch. I really love launch. It's no, actually probably launch, because all of the orbital, because there's just such a combination of ways to get to where you need to, or deploying large constellations. It's like such a puzzle for what delta V gets you to this orbit, and then what can you use to get to like disperse 36 satellites across 7 planes, whatever it is, and how to do that. So there was like a different challenge every day that was pretty cool. And I think if it was, intern to Inspire Global, well, that doesn't count for any much. But if we were worked at Astronis, which was setting up, 1 in 4 years or 3 years or so, which was great. But if it was at like a satellite factory, maybe that would have been different. Or if it was like a Blue Canyon or like something like this, it was building a different line of satellites for a million different use cases. I really love that like problem solving and puzzle piece to everything. It's kind of difficult. So the customer problem solving at the rocket company was what I really, really loved. Or rocket companies was what I really, really loved. But the mission of Astronis was pretty important to me. Like closing digital divide's always been near and dear to my heart. So, I have I'm bought in to the whole idea that if we can get the world connected, it'll lift a lot of people out of poverty and generally be positive for everybody. And then I go to Reddit and throw all of that out the window and try to in every possible way.
I've opened TikTok twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yep, exactly.
Jake's on Starlink, so.
Are you?
Brought to you by the digital divide.
I can't believe it's happened maybe not in our lifetime, but like as fast. I can't believe it's here,
Yeah.
Like the fact that they were like, we're going to put up 30,000 satellites, and everybody was like,
okay,
yeah, hilarious. That's amazing. Yeah. And then 2 years later, it was like, oh, we have operational stuff. I remember the wildfires were happening during the 2020 or during COVID up in Seattle, and somebody was like, how do we get internet to these communities that are now completely cut off? And somebody had an idea for Starlink, and I was like, there's absolutely no way. And 2 weeks later, it was deployed to those communities. It was like, what the hell? Which is just another fun fact. And I forgot that, all of those satellites are manufactured up in Redmond up here, because Washington State produces more satellites than any country in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, Kuiper's there too, right? So like, there's no one's catching
all
up.
the
No one's catching up to
exactly.
Washington anytime soon.
Exactly. Yeah.
All the satellites.
Yeah. No, it's rad, man. I follow this girl on Instagram who's doing right now a solo sail around the world, and she's got a Starlink antenna on her boat. So like, you just get to like every day I can just like check in and look at what this random sailboat in the middle of the Southern Ocean is doing right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, my sail's doing this. I got this engine thing broke, so I fixed it. Here's some video of that. I'm like, this is wild. Like, this is like, there's no land within like 1,000 kilometers of this person. You know,
this reminds me of my favorite acronym. That's just like so brutal, but you know, O3b. The constellation, I think it's like a MEO constellation.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be the other 3 billion people. Are you familiar with like the
other 3 billion? Yep.
It's the other 3 boats because it was used for yachts and everything like that. So it's just like,
I'm not familiar with that. Excellent.
Or the other 3 billionaires. Is that what's going to be?
Yeah.
Excellent.
The other 3 boats.
Really great.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of stories like that I could reasonably tell from any.
I mean, that
any of the
kind of
places.
stuck the landing. Honestly, that was great.
Yeah.
I don't know how no one's ever said that to me before. You know, that's crazy.
I did work at a geotelecommunications satellite
true.
company, so
that's your beat.
There was some room. Yeah, there was some room for jokes. Oh man, I'm trying to think. So, we did go to Mexico. The first time I ever went to Mexico was with Astranis for LATSAT, and that's all I got. I fell head over heels in love with Mexico and mezcal. I gotta say, if there's one liquor that I miss and absolutely like, just mezcal is the greatest liquor out there. Period. Whiskey fans come at me. Winos come at me. I don't care. It's mezcal.
Mezcal's great.
The highlight.
It's great for me because whiskey. As I age, whiskey is getting hard for me. It triggers some sort of allergic reaction now. I don't know what it is, but like if I have a glass of whiskey, I feel like I have a cold the next day. Mezcal doesn't do that. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just a slight plug for a party that may or may not happen at Satellite. The venue. I stayed at a certain hotel, went up to the rooftop bar like 11 p.m. when I was still working, and they just had one of the greatest mezcal selections I've ever seen in the U.S. Like shit that I've never actually seen, and so may or may not happen. But
Satellite, man, I don't know why I always miss the planning of that, but I need to figure out what I'm doing. It's not that far away from me, and I need to do it.
Yeah, we got a party for you. So
I am putting in motion. I'll alert now that I'm like actively planning for Small Sat, which is the one that's been on my list. Because the Space Symposium this year lands on the solar eclipse week, which is the worst planning they could have ever done. They needed to move that conference. No one's going to that.
100%.
Unless work is forcing you to go to that, no one's going to that. So
no, our work is forcing us to go to the eclipse.
To the eclipse.
Like that's exactly. I am forcing us all to go to the eclipse. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I should look at another one. And Small Sat, I've never been. I've missed Utah dearly. I would love to just go out. Yeah.
It's the greatest space conference.
Jake,
period.
What's you got? Look at your calendar in August. We have an offer to do an Off-Nominal live there. So
that's also the only. Okay, here's a story. I got you. Well, it's
1 minute left. I love this. This is great.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so we protested. So we had this whole campaign.
We protested. 59 minutes into the show, we protested.
Don't go Jira. Go integrate. Because we're like, don't use Jira, and so we protested our own party in a Godzilla costume, saying don't go Jira, go integrate, or do go Jira. And the yoga studio across the place, my friend Sagi came over and was like, Conafay, is that you in there? And I was in the costume. And
you were in the Godzilla costume?
Yeah, protesting our own party and at Small Sat. And he came over and he was like, I just left the yoga studio, and they were like, be careful, there are protesters outside, it might get dangerous. Just like, it's me in a Godzilla suit.
Space software, yeah, great.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's the story.
The weirdest protest in the world.
exactly.
Picture life as a company founder in a Godzilla costume.
There were three or four of us were swapping out, doing it, and then heckling the other, and it was great. It was dumb, and it made a lot of
short
people
end of the stick was being the third person swapping into the Godzilla costume in Utah in the summer.
Exactly. We didn't have a fan in there. It was
at least
brutal.
it's a dry heat, you know.
Not in there by the time we were done. It was moist.
Shut her down.
So went places.
Shut her down.
Everyone give it a macOS Sonoma thumbs up. This is like maybe the best episode of this podcast there's ever been. I don't know what happened here, Jake.
Well,
yeah, this is great. You know.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
John, what would you like to plug?
I don't know, man.
Do you need to hire software people? Should we send you them privately? What should we do?
We're hired up, but if you're building complex hardware and sick of using Jira Smartsheet and everything, the Franken software that you have to put together to make that happen, check out Integrate.
Integrate.space. You'll notice it when you get.
Yeah.
Oh well, your website says .space. I'm looking at it.
We have a redirect, but yeah, Integrate.space works also.
You'll know that you're there when you see not a normal space website. So yes.
Yeah, if you liked the website when you get there, you're in the right spot.
You made it.
Well, half and half, but yeah.
Jake, you got anything? Closing us out here?
R.I.P. Ingenuity. That's all I got to
that
say.
little helicopter.
Pour one out.
Yeah.
He did well.
You killed it. I swear I'll do another episode of my podcast someday, Jake.
One day, yeah.
For now, I'm busy on things, and it'll be worth it. I promise everybody.
I hope so. So excited.
Definitely.
John, thanks so much for hanging out. This is the greatest.
Thank you.
I'll see you,
Really
I guess, in a Godzilla costume in Utah in a couple months.
Awesome. Talk to y'all soon. Cheers.
Bye, everybody. See ya.
Bye.